Hey y'all, it's Leo. Welcome back to my series on making an ideas book full of junk journal elements that we can reference in the future. So today we are still back in my old Christmas journal and we are going to work on this matchbook. So it is a fun way to add in some extra journaling space or to kind of give you some different little papers that you can play with. In this one, I used coffee dyed paper, but you could use any kind of paper. You could even have it be like little sticker sheets or different types of paper that you'd want to like rip out, especially if you're like giving this journal to someone. You could make it with some extra little goodies that they could add in to the journal as they're going through it. So it's things that they could just kind of rip out. And then you get to decorate it however you want. They can also be made without paper and just use as a decorative element. So you can just, decorate up here and down here. It's totally up to you. The cool thing about them is they can be made in any size, so they fit any kind of journal. And so let's go ahead and get started on that. Get this out of the way. All you need for this is a piece of double-sided cardstock and then whatever you want to use for your interior. Okay. So in this case, I am starting with a piece that is 11 inches long. The trick with measuring is you want it to be double the amount of your finished project minus 1 inch. Okay, so I want my finished one to be 5 inches. And so when I fold it in half, I want this to be about 5 inches. Actually, it's going to be a little bit long. It'll be like 5.5, but roughly 5 inches. And so that's kind of your rule of thumb, is double minus 1 inch. And then your width is whatever width you want. So mine is 11 inches by 3.5 because I like a 5 by 3.5 card. That's usually kind of it's a tag size that I go with a lot. That's a journaling card size that I go with a lot. So it just makes a nice little piece in a journal. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to fold it down and you're going to leave that 1 inch little flap at the bottom. Okay, so you're just going to fold that in half, give it a good fold. You do need to decide which one you want on your outside versus your inside. So I'm going to go ahead and do the floral pattern on the outside. And then if you're going to ink it, now would be the time to do that. Also, if you want to round these corners, you can do so. And if you want to round these corners, now would be the time to do that. Okay. Then you're going to need to cut your inner pages. I usually like to use odd numbers, and so I usually go with about 5 little sheets in there, but it really depends on the thickness of the paper that you're using and what you're kind of putting in there. The trick with this is you want it to be about a 1/4 inch less than the width that you've already had of your book. So in this case, I'm doing 3 1/4, and then you want it to be the height of kind of your finished piece. So my back is about 5 inches, so I went 5 inches on this because that was kind of my rule of thumb, even though it's really like 5 1/4, so it works out well. Because you're going to put your papers flush all the way to the bottom, and then you want them to be just a little bit, you can kind of see how they're below my line. My fold line is there, so they're about a 1/4 inch below the fold line. Okay, you don't want them right up against, because then it's not going to close well. Okay, so then that's all you're going to do. If you want to ink these pages, go ahead and do that now. And then you are going to just pop those in the bottom as best as you can. And then make sure, again, that's flush all the way to the bottom. And then I usually just do 2 staples across the bottom. If you are doing something that is wider, then you might want 3. And I could go 3 if I wanted on this one. And then basically, this is all it is. So now we've created that little flap for it to stick in there. If I can get it, there we go. Okay. And then now we get to decorate and add whatever we want to that. So this is just a really simple piece that you can add into any journal to give you some extra space, extra journaling space, or again, to add in some fun little goodies. Okay. So we started with some double-sided cardstock. We want our length to be double the finished length versus, or sorry, minus 1 inch. And so I went with 11 inches, and then your width is whatever width you want. I went with 3.5. You're gonna fold it down, leaving a 1 inch piece at the bottom. Go ahead and ink it. You're gonna cut your inner pages. The length is gonna be about half minus 1 inch. So I went with 5 inches. And then your width is 1/4 less than your width of your finished project. So I went with 3.25. Go ahead and fold that flap up about 1/2 inch, add your papers flush to the bottom, and then staple down there, and then decorate as desired. Okay. Let's get this glued in to our journal, all that out of our way. And let's see where this can live. I am definitely running out of space. Here we go. There's a good page for us with our phrase modifiers on there. All right, so we're gonna glue. You can also make this, I'll glue it like that. You can make that a pocket if you want. So just by gluing on the 3 sides. So I can have that as my pocket there. But I will go ahead and just glue this down. All right. I would love to hear if you are making any of these, or if you're making an ideas book. Please drop me a note in the comments section. Okay. And I will see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.